George Strait, often heralded as the king of country music, is one of the most influential and respected musicians in the world of country music. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Strait's voice, distinctive songs, and unyielding authenticity have made him a living legend in the music industry. His contributions to the genre have reshaped country music, and his career remains a shining example of success and passion for music. But while his music has stood the test of time, his personal life and legacy continue to evolve. Despite announcing his retirement in 2012, the future of the Strait family holds something unexpected, something that, though it was anticipated, continues to captivate fans and the public alike. But before we dive into this new chapter of George Strait's life, let's take a step back and reflect on his incredible journey to stardom and what has made him not just a country singer, but an icon. George Strait was born on May 18, 1952, in Poteet, Texas, a small town known for its rich agricultural history. His parents, John Byron Strait Sr. and Doris Jean Kerr, raised him in the small town of Pearsall in Frio County, southwest of San Antonio. His father, a junior high school mathematics teacher and rancher, owned a 200-acre ranch outside of Big Wells, Texas. The Strait family spent weekends and summers working on the ranch, cultivating a strong work ethic in young George. However, when George was just in the 4th grade, his parents divorced, and his mother moved away with his sister. George and his brother, John Buddy Jr., stayed behind with their father. George spent much of his early childhood on the ranch, where he developed a deep connection to the land and an appreciation for hard work. While George's childhood was rooted in rural life, his passion for music began at a young age. As a teenager, he became involved in a rock and roll garage band called the Stoics during his high school years. Influenced by the sounds of the Beatles and other British invasion groups, George initially played rock music, though his tastes would soon evolve. By the time he was in college at Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos, George's musical interests began to shift toward country music. Inspired by country legends like Hank Thompson, Lefty Frizzle, Merle Haggard, George Jones, Bob Wills, Hank Williams, and even Frank Sinatra, George honed his craft, blending his rock and roll influences with the honky-tonk sounds that would define his future career. Though he didn't grow up listening to country music radio, George's exposure to the genre came in a unique way: live performances. He recalls that in every town in Texas, there were country music performances, and it was here that he began to absorb the music and the culture that would shape his career. These diverse influences laid the foundation for George Strait's distinctive sound, a sound that would set him apart from the many other country musicians of his time. In college, George formed a band called the Stony Ridge, which was later renamed Ace in the Hole. The band played at local bars and nightclubs across Texas, eventually gaining a following for their energetic performances. Despite their regional popularity, the band struggled to break into the mainstream music scene. George continued to work on his father's ranch during the day to make ends meet, but his passion for music never waned. It was through a chance encounter with Irv Wools, a former MCA Records employee, that George's music career began to take a more serious turn. Irv convinced some of his contacts in Nashville to listen to George and his band perform, but despite their enthusiasm, no record deal was offered. The biggest obstacle was the band's Western swing sound, which record labels believed wouldn't appeal to a broad audience. Despite numerous rejections, George continued to visit Nashville, hoping for a breakthrough. After a particularly discouraging period, George made the decision to step away from music altogether. However, after a heart-to-heart conversation with his wife, who urged him to give his music career one more chance, George reconsidered. His persistence would soon pay off. In February 1981, George signed with MCA Records, albeit on a trial basis. The label agreed to release just one single. If the single was successful, they would consider releasing an album. George's first single, Unwound, was released that spring, and it quickly climbed to number 6 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart. The success of the song led to the release of his debut album, Strait Country, which included additional hit singles such as Down and Out and If You're Thinking You Need a Stranger. The album's success marked the beginning of George Strait's rise to fame. His traditional country sound was a refreshing departure from the pop-leaning country music of the time. Critics hailed Strait Country as a breakthrough for the new traditionalist movement, a genre that would come to define much of country music in the years to come. George Strait's career skyrocketed in the 1980s as he consistently produced hit after hit. In 1982, he released Straight from the Heart, which included his first #1 single, Fool-Hearted Memory, as well as the top 5 hit, Amarillo by Morning. That same year, George made his debut performance at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, stepping in as a last-minute replacement for an ill headliner. This performance would become a staple of his career, and George would go on to perform at the rodeo over 20 times, playing for over 1 million fans. By the mid-1980s, George Strait had become one of the most successful country artists of his time. His albums consistently topped the charts, and he began winning prestigious awards. In 1983, he won the Country Music Association, CMA, Award for Male Vocalist of the Year, and in 1984, he released Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind, an album that cemented his place as a country music icon. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, George Strait's popularity only grew. He scored 17 #1 hits during the decade and continued to dominate the charts with albums like Right or Wrong, 1983, Something Special, 1985, and The Chair, 1986. His performances were a blend of honky-tonk and Western swing, and his style was consistent yet ever-evolving. By the time the 1990s rolled around, George Strait was not just a country star, he was a household name, known for his powerful voice, emotional ballads, and unshakable authenticity. His ability to stay true to his roots while also embracing new trends in country music ensured his relevance for decades. But even more impressive than his chart-topping singles was his commitment to maintaining a steady and calm attitude throughout his personal life, despite the ups and downs he faced. George Strait's legacy is unparalleled in country music. He has received countless accolades, including numerous CMA and Grammy Awards, and his music continues to inspire both new generations of country artists and longtime fans. His influence extends beyond music. His devotion to his family and his quiet, humble nature have earned him the respect of not only fellow musicians, but also fans from all walks of life. But what makes George Strait truly stand out is his longevity. Unlike many artists who fade from the spotlight after achieving fame, George Strait has remained a fixture in the country music world for over 30 years. His ability to adapt to the changing tides of the music industry while staying true to his sound has made him one of the few musicians to truly define a genre. As we look to the future, the Strait family is poised to carry on the legacy. What lies ahead for George Strait is not just a new chapter, but the continuation of a story that has captivated fans for generations. And although George himself may have retired from touring, his influence will forever remain ingrained in the fabric of country music. In conclusion, George Strait's impact on country music is immeasurable. From his humble beginnings in Texas to becoming the king of country, his career serves as an example of perseverance, passion, and authenticity. His influence on the genre is profound, and his place in the annals of music history is secure. As we reflect on the incredible journey of this legendary artist, we eagerly await the next chapter in the Strait family's story, knowing that whatever it is, it will be just as remarkable as the man himself. For decades, George Strait, the undisputed king of country music, has built a legacy not only as one of the most iconic and influential figures in the genre, but also as a devoted family man with a love story that has captivated fans across the world. His marriage to Norma Strait has stood the test of time, earning a place in the annals of country music history as one of the most enduring unions in the business. Their story is a testament to the power of love, dedication, and the bonds that tie us together through both triumph and tragedy. George and Norma's relationship began in high school, where they first crossed paths as young lovers. Yet, despite their deep affection for each other, they couldn't wait for the approval of their families before starting their life together. On December 4th, 1971, they eloped to Mexico and married in a private ceremony. Their commitment to one another was immediate and unwavering, and this strong foundation would serve them throughout their life together. That same year, George Strait made a life-changing decision to join the U.S. Army, where he served as an infantryman. Stationed at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii with the 25th Infantry Division, Strait's time in the military was more than just a stint of duty. It was a formative experience for his career. While in Hawaii, he auditioned for an Army-sponsored country band called Rambling Country and began performing both on and off base under the stage name Santi. His 4 years in the military not only shaped his work ethic and discipline, but also kept his passion for music alive, paving the way for his future success. Throughout his military years, George's life continued to evolve. In 1972, the couple welcomed their first child, Jennifer, followed by a son, George Harvey Strait Jr., or Bubba, in 1981. However, the family's happiness was tragically short-lived. In 1986, George and Norma suffered a devastating loss when their daughter Jennifer, at just 13 years old, was killed in a car accident. The accident, which occurred when Jennifer was in a speeding car that flipped while attempting a turn, left the Strait family shattered. The tragedy haunted George deeply, and for many years he withdrew from speaking to the media. Despite the pain, George continued to focus on his music and career, but the heartache of losing his daughter was something that would remain with him forever. The emotional toll of Jennifer's death, alongside the pressures of fame, made George's journey incredibly difficult. The weight of being in the public eye, coupled with the scrutiny of the media, proved to be a challenge for the man who had always prioritized his family and music. Yet, through it all, George Strait never lost his authenticity. His dedication to his roots and his passion for music became his driving force, his way of connecting with fans and sharing the story of love, loss, and resilience. In fact, George's personal life has often been a source of inspiration for his music. The themes of love, heartbreak, and the pursuit of inner peace are woven into the fabric of many of his songs. For instance, his famous track "I Cross My Heart" reflects his unwavering commitment to his wife Norma, while songs like "The Best Day" highlight his love for his family. Through his music, George has always been able to share his deepest emotions with his fans, creating a bond that transcends the boundaries of time and space. Beyond his personal and musical endeavors, George Strait has always had a passion for hobbies outside of music, particularly steer roping, golf, and skiing. With his longtime friend and business partner, Tom Cusk, George co-founded the annual Cowboys of the Sea Invitational Golf Tournament and Concert, an event that takes place at their Texas Hill Country Resort, the Tapatio Springs Resort in Bourne, Texas. The event not only celebrates George's love of golf and music, but also raises funds for the Troops First Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting wounded soldiers and their families. Since its inception in 2012, the event has raised millions of dollars for the foundation. In recognition of his significant contributions to Texas and his continued influence in the world of music, George was awarded the 2018 Texan of the Year Award by the Texas Legislative Conference. This honor highlighted his status not only as a musical legend, but also as an influential public figure whose roots remain deeply tied to the Lone Star State. George's legacy is unparalleled, having received the most awards in country music, including multiple CMA awards for Entertainer of the Year, 1989, 1990, 2013. His record-breaking achievements have solidified his place in music history, with the artist holding the record for the most #1 hits, albums and singles in country music. His success is further evidenced by his achievements across all genres, as he holds the distinction of being the 12th best-selling artist in American history, with over 70 million albums sold in the U.S. alone. Strait is a true icon, revered for staying true to his country roots while influencing countless artists who followed. He has defied the pop trends that became popular in the 1980s and, in doing so, remained one of the most respected figures in the music industry. His signature sound, rich with traditional country elements, has stood the test of time, and he is regarded as one of the best-selling artists in the world, with more than 120 million records sold globally. However, even with all his commercial success, George Strait's career remains defined by his love for his craft and the personal connections he maintains with his fans. Throughout his life, fans have been curious about what the future holds for the King of Country, particularly as questions loom around his eventual retirement. As one of the most influential figures in country music history, George Strait's retirement would leave a significant void in the genre. The question of who will carry the torch after George Strait has been a subject of much speculation. For years, the most logical successor to the Strait legacy has been his son, George Strait Jr. Bubba. Born on May 14, 1981, in San Marcos, Texas, Bubba showed a natural affinity for the cowboy lifestyle, studying at Texas A&M University and pursuing a career in competitive rodeo. But it was clear early on that he shared his father's musical talents. Bubba has worked alongside his father on some of his best tracks, co-writing songs and performing together on stage. Fans began to wonder if Bubba would one day step into his father's shoes and continue the family's musical legacy. In fact, the Straits have worked together on numerous occasions, donning cowboy shirts, jeans, and wide-brimmed hats, further fueling rumors that Bubba was destined to become the next big thing in country music. At 43, Bubba Strait has confirmed what many had speculated. He is now prepared to take the reins of the Strait legacy and bring his own voice to the world of country music. Though his path has not yet been fully defined, fans are eager to see where his musical journey will lead. Despite George Strait's enormous success, his story is far from over. With an ongoing passion for both music and family, he continues to influence and inspire future generations of country artists. His influence extends beyond his records and awards, shaping the landscape of modern country music. And though questions still swirl about what will happen when the King of Country finally steps down, one thing is certain: George Strait's impact will be felt for years to come. Whether it's Bubba or another heir to his throne, the Strait legacy is guaranteed to endure, keeping alive the spirit of pure country music for generations to follow. For decades, George Strait has remained a central figure in country music, earning the title of the King of Country. His influence has shaped the genre, and his musical legacy is unmatched. Yet there's another Strait who's quietly carrying the family's musical torch: his son, George Harvey Strait Jr., affectionately known as Bubba. While Bubba has managed to maintain a relatively low public profile compared to his legendary father, he's made his own mark in the world of music and country culture, with a deep passion for both music and the rodeo lifestyle. Bubba Strait's story is intertwined with his father's in ways that few can fully understand. Growing up in the shadow of a man who has set numerous records in country music, including the most #1 hits. Hits in the history of any genre could be overwhelming for many. But Bubba's journey has been one of balancing legacy and independence, forging his own path while staying deeply rooted in the values instilled by his father. One of Bubba's earliest passions was rodeo, a sport his father has long been an avid supporter of. George Strait's love for rodeo has spanned decades, and he's been a fixture at events like the Team Roping Classic. Bubba joined his father at many of these events, including the 22nd George Strait Team Roping Classic in 2004. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing. During one of his roping sessions, Bubba nearly severed his index finger while trying to execute a difficult loop. While this close call may have made some rethink their involvement, Bubba remained dedicated to the sport, following in his father's footsteps. George Strait, ever the advocate for the sport, was not just a fan, but an active participant in organizing events. For over 35 years, George Strait produced the professional Rodeo Cowboys Association team Roping Classic, a testament to his dedication to the rodeo community. He even called this his greatest achievement, aside from his musical success. Bubba, too, shared this passion. Over the years, Bubba would team up with his father in a variety of music projects, writing and performing together. Bubba's voice even graced the beginning of one of George's most famous songs, Heartland, from the 1992 movie Pure Country, cementing his connection to the country music scene early on. Beyond the world of rodeo, Bubba Strait has continued to carve out his own path in country music, contributing significantly to his father's career while also pursuing his individual ambitions. As an adult, he worked alongside his father, co-writing songs for George's albums, including Living for the Night, Out of Sight and Out of Mind, Here for a Good Time, Love is Everything, Cold Beer Conversation, and Honky Tonk Time Machine. Bubba's collaboration with his father has produced some of the most memorable tracks in George Strait's catalog, but his efforts have been far from overshadowed by his legendary father. Perhaps one of the most iconic moments in Bubba's career came in 2014, when he and George Strait took the stage together at the final stop of George's Cowboy Rides Away tour in Arlington, Texas. This was not just any concert, it marked George Strait's retirement from touring. The two performed Arkansas Dave, a song that Bubba wrote himself. This performance wasn't just a father-son duet, it was a passing of the torch, a moment that left an indelible mark on country music history. The concert itself set a new record for North American attendance, with 104,792 fans packing into AT&T Stadium, surpassing the previous record set by the Rolling Stones. The concert was filmed for the CMT special George Strait, The Cowboy Rides Away, forever capturing the emotional farewell to one of country music's greatest icons. While George Strait may have retired from touring, his legacy is far from finished. Bubba Strait, though not as widely known as his father, continues to represent the family's deep ties to both country music and their Texas roots. Despite his lower profile, Bubba Strait has attended a number of prestigious events, including the 2007 Country Music Hall of Fame Medallion Ceremony, the 44th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards Artist of the Decade event in 2009, and the 50th Annual ASCAP Country Music Awards in Nashville in 2012. These appearances helped to solidify Bubba's place in the world of country music while keeping the family's tradition alive in the spotlight. Bubba Strait, the son of the legendary George Strait, has spent much of his life walking a fine line, balancing the weight of his father's monumental legacy with the desire to carve out his own identity in the world of country music. While many children of famous figures would be content to ride the coattails of their parents' fame, Bubba has consistently worked to establish himself as an individual artist, all while maintaining a deep respect for the traditions that his father has long championed in the country music scene. Despite his undeniable family connection, Bubba has chosen a different path when it comes to public exposure. Unlike many of today's stars, Bubba does not maintain a social media presence, preferring instead to keep his personal life out of the spotlight. His wife, Tamara Strait, a realtor by profession, occasionally shares snippets of their life together on Instagram, offering fans a rare glimpse into the family's world. The two met in 2005 at a San Antonio Spurs game, where Tamara was a silver dancer. It wasn't long before they became inseparable, and by 2010, they were engaged. Just a few days later, they married in a private ceremony. Together, they have two children, George Harvey Strait III, born in 2012, and Jillian Louise Strait, born in 2016. Though Bubba Strait's name may not be as immediately recognizable as his father's, his accomplishments, both in music and life, are far from insignificant. His journey is defined by his quiet, yet steady pursuit of excellence. His musical contributions, especially as a co-writer on some of George's biggest hits, have allowed him to both honor his father's legacy and add his own distinctive voice to the genre. From his role in writing and performing songs like Arkansas Dave and Here for a Good Time, to his own solo musical efforts, Bubba has found his own rhythm in the world of country music. While George Strait is often hailed as the face of modern country music, Bubba has managed to stay grounded in the genre's roots while still pushing boundaries and exploring new musical territories. In many ways, Bubba has embodied the same work ethic and passion for authenticity that his father has become known for over the years. But Bubba's journey has also been about crafting his own story, one that isn't just an echo of his father's success, but one that reflects his unique personality and talents. Bubba's story isn't just about following in the footsteps of his famous father. It's about blazing his own trail while staying connected to the family values that have always been central to the Strait legacy. Whether it's through his dedication to music, his love of rodeo, or his active participation in family life, Bubba has continued to stay true to what matters most to him: his craft, his family, and the enduring legacy of country music. In addition to his music career, Bubba's passion for rodeo has remained an important part of his life. George Strait, a longtime supporter of the sport, has been actively involved in rodeo events for decades. Bubba himself has participated in various events, including the 22nd George Strait Team Roping Classic in 2004, where he roped for some time until a close call nearly severed his index finger. Despite this setback, Bubba remained dedicated to the sport, proving that his resilience and love for the rodeo world were as strong as his musical ambition. Bubba's time in the rodeo world, alongside his father, highlights the close-knit family dynamic they share. George Strait has long been a producer of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association Team Roping Classic and has worked on several rodeo events in Texas. Bubba, who grew up surrounded by this culture, naturally became involved in organizing and participating in these events, solidifying the Strait family's connection to the sport. The pair even shared the stage together on occasion, with Bubba accompanying his father on some of George's biggest musical milestones, including the Cowboy Rides Away tour, which marked George Strait's retirement from touring in 2014. The pair performed George's hit Arkansas Dave, with Bubba taking the lead in writing the song. The Cowboy Rides Away tour became a historic moment not just for George, but also for Bubba, who stood by his father's side. The tour finale at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, became the most attended concert ever in North America, breaking records set by the Rolling Stones. Bubba's involvement in this monumental event wasn't just a reflection of his musical contributions, but also of his deep bond with his father and the Strait legacy. The performance was filmed for a CMT special, forever preserving the moment for fans who traveled from across the country to witness the historic event. Although George Strait's touring career has come to an end, Bubba continues to carry the family's torch. While his public profile may never reach the level of his father's, Bubba's musical journey has been one of steady growth and evolution. His talents, both as a performer and a songwriter, have made him a respected figure in country music in his own right. While he may not seek the limelight in the way his father did, Bubba is poised to continue making his own impact on the genre, contributing to the ongoing legacy of country music that the Strait family has long embodied. Beyond his music career, Bubba has been an active participant in red carpet events, representing his family at high-profile gatherings like the 2007 Country Music Hall of Fame Medallion Ceremony and the 44th Annual Academy of Country Music Awards in 2009. His appearances have helped to keep the Strait name in the public eye, further solidifying his place within the country music industry. Despite these achievements, Bubba remains grounded and humble. He has avoided the flashy lifestyle that so many other children of celebrities fall into. Instead, he has focused on what matters most to him: his family, his music, and his passion for rodeo. His life has been one of steady, quiet success, with a deep commitment to the things he loves. He's also kept his personal life relatively private, with the occasional insight shared by his wife, Tamara, who posts about their family life on Instagram. Though he doesn't actively seek out the same level of attention as his father, Bubba Strait's musical contributions are substantial. His collaborations with George have been instrumental in creating some of the most iconic songs in country music. Yet Bubba is more than just a co-writer or the son of a legendary artist. He has cultivated his own path, built on his unique talents, and has contributed to the shaping of country music with his own voice and style. With George Strait's retirement from touring, fans have inevitably turned their attention to Bubba, wondering if he will take up the mantle of his father's legacy. While it's unclear whether Bubba will ever become the face of country music in the way George has, one thing is certain: Bubba Strait is committed to keeping the spirit of traditional country music alive. For years, fans have speculated about who would carry the torch for the Strait family once George decided to retire. While Bubba may not be fully ready to step into his father's shoes, his contributions to country music have already proven that he is capable of carrying on the family's legacy. Whether he's writing new songs, performing on stage, or promoting the family's love for rodeo, Bubba has continued to ensure that the Strait name remains synonymous with country music. As the next generation of Straits takes the stage, it's clear that the future of country music is in capable hands. Bubba Strait's story is one of perseverance, passion, and a deep connection to the roots of country music. While his father's legacy will always loom large, Bubba is paving his own way in the industry, ensuring that the Strait family's impact on country music will continue for generations to come. Bubba's journey is far from over, and the best is yet to come. He is ready to carry on his family's legacy, one song at a time. As the son of George Strait, Bubba has been shaped by the same principles of authenticity, passion, and dedication that have defined his father's career. Whether it's through music, family, or his love for the rodeo, Bubba's contributions to the Strait legacy will continue to resonate with fans for years to come.